That way we'll have this recorded. And so I know this time spot here is early for some. It seems like it's a little bit late for others. And, you know, what I want to do is just be able to have a routine where everyone has a place they can come to. And the one thing we want to talk about today is focusing on collaboration. And have you ever, Jill, have you ever run into Sean Aker? I've mentioned him before about his book called The Happiness Advantage.
No, I have not.
Okay. Sean went to Harvard, ended up studying this thing that a lot of people think is kind of a little bit hokey, but he found this thing called happiness. And he thought, you know, what is this one thing that we are all missing, that if we had it, it could do something dramatic for us? And what he found in all of his research there at Harvard, and now in 48 different countries around the world, and over 15 years of actual research post his degree, is he found that he is able to increase performance by 31% simply by doing the next thing that you and I are going to practice here together. And that is simply a thing of gratitude. When you focus in the beginning of your meeting, that's whether it's a one-on-one meeting like you and I are having right now, or whether it's a group, a board meeting, it doesn't matter. Maybe it's a family get together. When we focus our minds on being grateful, the performance of our activity, whether it's our thinking or our interaction or our work or whatever, after that event goes up by how much? 31%. Yeah. So I'll start here, and I want to say that I am thankful for you. I'm thankful for you being here. I'm thankful for a place that we can use this technology to come and hang out together. And then I get a chance to share everything that I know and be able to transfer it to you. Obviously, we can't do it in an instant fashion, but we can do it on an ongoing basis. And that's what creates this really a great thing called a relationship. And being able to have a relationship with you and other individuals that are part of this journey, I'll talk about that here in a second, but creates this wonderful thing called collaboration. Okay, so I'm thankful for you and thankful for getting to collaborate with you and be with you as we move forward. How's that?
Likewise, I'm grateful for you as well.
Awesome, awesome. Well, let's see, we got Inez coming on board here. So we're going to have, I guess, the only people here up in the world right now. Inez, good morning.
You're Canadian girls. You're Canadian girls.
I know, I'm sitting there going, you guys must be up early because it's either cold or y'all got the memo in time or something like that. How are you, Inez? Oh, she's frozen up on her screen.
It's actually funny. I usually wake up around 5 or 6, so pretty much an early bird. Just I don't set meetings until about 10 a.m. So this is my personal time.
Okay, perfect. All right.
Set that pace.
Well, Inez, glad that you're here with us today. And I was going to say, we just started here with Jill, and the one thing that we always start off with, the first thing, is beginning with gratitude. That's one of the first things we do here on Prepping the Objective. And so Jill and I already jumped in here, and I wanted to see if you had anything that you're grateful for. I'm joking, I know you do, but I was
you know I do. I'm so super excited. I just got back from a trip, my first trip ever out east. Okay. And I'm so very grateful for my husband who took me on this trip to meet his family, and it was amazing. Absolutely amazing. We went to New Brunswick, and New Brunswick actually borders Maine. Okay. And so I have now got to cross off one of my goals on my bucket list. I have dipped my toes in both the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans.
There you go.
And so it was so amazing, the just the scenery and the everything, and I just soaked it all up while I was there, because I know it's going to get right cold here right away. Sure. And I'm going to sit back, close my eyes, and remember my toes being in the ocean and the good seafood that I had that was like fresh right out of the ocean. Absolutely. And yeah, just that time we stayed at this one place. You guys would absolutely love it.
Okay.
It was it's right on the ocean, and it's this cute little motel kind of thing, but all the rooms have patio doors, so you can lay in bed, look out the patio doors, and you can see the ocean waves coming in, and you can hear it. I slept listening to the waves coming in all night long, and it was unbelievable.
Outstanding. Well, you've got a whole litany list there of all these things that you're thankful for. Great time with your
Oh,
spouse. You got to go visit the other side and check off one of those bucket list things. Had an amazing event. Got to listen to the ocean. Get some really deep sleep. You know, that sleep that we need sometimes like that is super therapeutic. You know, because we
yeah.
get our normal sleep. Sometimes we need that really deep sleep that's regenerative. And it sounds like you got that. And I can tell by the smile on your face.
Yeah.
Good. Awesome.
And
Yeah, for
Inez,
sure.
you're making me miss home because that's actually home. That way's home to me. So,
Oh,
yeah,
really? Oh,
thank
cool.
you for that ocean thought and memory.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, good. I'm
Thank
glad
you.
that you both have had just amazing times here to talk about this. So one of the things that we were talking about, Inez, and I was mentioning with Jill, and that we want to just have recorded here for all the other members that are part of this is the key thing that we want to begin with in every one of our meetings, whether it's a one-on-one meeting, that we're meeting something in a coffee shop or sitting down and strapping on that bib for seafood or whatever, is, you know, it's something I remember
Yummy.
doing when I was a kid. It was a practice that my dad had gotten from his dad, but you know, I didn't pay attention to it. You know, I was like, it was this idea of being grateful. It was part of basically giving thanks, and we would pray before we had our meal. And I just thought, oh, that's just that religious thing that we do, you know. And here's the cool thing is, as I have had a chance to study so many different individuals that are top performers and keep looking for those little things that I call small hinges that move big doors, is what I'm always looking for. What are the habits and the patterns that I can take from other people that I see they're producing great results? And can I duplicate it by taking those little small things out of them that are moving those big, what would you call them, obstacles and overcoming challenges? So the ability to stop first at the very beginning of every one of your meetings and focus on gratefulness, it changes our mind. It changes the way our electrical systems are working in our mind. And what it does is it bumps our productivity by 30+%, 31% actually, after we begin with that process. So that's why every time we jump on here, we do one of these prepping the objective programs. The whole idea of Rubicon is to give you all of these things to actually compass your life and navigate it, figure out how to perform and perfect how you are performing so that you're able to get you know, constant better results, right? That's one of the things that you can do. And it doesn't take, like, you know, what would you call some type of incredible process. It's about just taking the time to remember, first and foremost. Good morning, Lena. Good to see you. Glad you're with us. Wonderful. Thank you for joining us. If you want to, here in just a second, we're finishing this up. Think about what is the most important thing that you are thankful for this morning. I'll let you share that with us here. I'll give you a few seconds, but I'll give you a little warning first so you can actually think about it instead of putting you right on the hot spot. But the whole idea is thinking about this. So this is a habit or routine. One of the most important things at Rubicon, what we focus on here is what are those things that you can create so that it's like that, you know, you get in the car and you drive to work. You don't have to think about consciously pressing on the brake every time you see a stoplight. You don't have to think about navigating yourself through the city. All of a sudden you leave your driveway and you show up where? You show up in the garage. And in that particular time, you're sitting there going, I didn't remember consciously going through every one of the lights and driving through traffic, but you got there safely. So what happens? You switched over to your unconscious level of competence. And so that's what habits are, is you do the same thing over and over again. So one of the things we can do that produces a great result is focusing on our habits. So Lena, that's one of the things we start off with here every time we jump on one of our calls together, is we kick off and we talk about something that we're happy for, something that we're grateful for. So if you want to jump off of, let's see, you're on mute right now. Let me let you unmute and tell us something that you're grateful for.
I'm grateful for that I could join you today, because I haven't been able to do that since you started this one.
Awesome.
I've been working, and today I got some students that didn't come, so I can join you for a while at least.
Perfect. Well, great, great. And that's awesome. Thank you for getting a chance to be here with us. And do you always use the replay when you can't be here live with us?
Sorry?
Did you realize that there is a replay of all of our events? So every time we hang out together, you can always jump on the YouTube channel and listen to all the replays. And I think I post them as well. I just want to let you know that they're that way as well, so that when you do have students and you can't be here, I want you to know that you can still be part of us. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, great. Okay, so here's what we want to focus on today is some of the things that I was sharing up front before we got on here. I was sharing kind of a picture early this morning, about 2 hours ago. And you're like, Steve, okay, if it's 6:30 there right now in Bend, Oregon, that means that you were up at 4:30 this morning. And the answer is no, I was up a little bit before that. But I took a picture about 4:30 this morning. Look at Inez. Inez is like, what are you doing up at 4:30 in the morning? Here's the thing. I understand one of the key things that is critical for us to be able to perform better is it's more valuable to me to be up early and lose a little bit of extra sleep than go into my day and my week unprepared. I absolutely know if you put a gun to my head and say, Steve, what is the most important thing that you've learned from all of your military friends, from your father, from people like Matt Morris, from other people that are top producers and performers over your 35 plus years of being in corporate America and working with individuals and entrepreneurs, what is the one thing that keeps coming back over and over and over again is that accidental success is a myth. It is absolutely a myth, okay? It's like going down and buying a lottery ticket. Yes, I know a lot of people do, and there are those rare instances where somebody happens to hit it, okay? But it's not duplicatable. You cannot replicate it. What you can replicate is regimen, routine, and ritual, okay? Those are the three things I'm going to give you, those three words today. There's 3 R's, okay? Regimen, routine, and ritual. If you will create a regimen where you routinely show up to practice your ritual, you will see dramatic results in your performance, okay? I can go back and do everything. I mean, you know me, I do videos a lot of times with me out on a pull-up bar or going up the side of a mountain with sand on my shoulder in a rucksack, or running or climbing or hiking or whatever. All those things that I'm doing from a physical standpoint is to do what? Is to train this. And on a routine basis, if I come back and do a regimen, something that makes me breathe heavy, something that challenges me, something that pushes me, that ritual becomes a touchstone for my life. That means that every time I run into life's uncertainties, life's difficulties, life's unexpectedness, what do I have a chance to fall back on? Those 3 R's: regimen, routine, and ritual. So the reason why I gave you that picture of where I was at this morning with my fireplace on and you see my TV screen above it, what am I watching? Am I watching Good Morning America? No, not really my thing. Am I watching news, CNN or BBC or something like that? Not really my thing, because I don't like sensationalized stuff of somebody harping and screaming about things that are probably important, but probably not as chaotic or crazy as they want to sensationalize them. So I don't want to let someone else dictate the way I feel inside. So I have had I guess you would call I fasted from media for more than a decade now. This was something I learned from Tim Ferriss that wrote the 4-Hour Workweek, is if you're constantly allowing your inner state to be dictated by something external, like a news channel that's constantly just what do you want to call it? I'm trying to think of a nice word, okay? But I'm having a hard time coming up with that.
Broadcasting against you?
Say again, Jill?
Broadcasting?
Well, broadcasting, but I'm thinking of a worse thing. I'm thinking of a term that what news means to me is someone, I'm trying to find a nicer term, because the one that I'm thinking of right now starts with a V, and it's kind of, it's a little crass, but regurgitating, I guess, is a nicer term that I can possibly come up with, is they are spewing their sensationalized garbage into my living room and into my mind, and they're altering my state. And guess what? How many times have you ever watched the news and walked away and said, oh, wow, that was really great. I feel better from that. When does that ever happen? No, they know that bad news is what gets people's eyeballs on it, because it's like people can't not watch, the car wreck on the expressway as you're going home. Everybody's rubbernecking, okay? You can't not do it, okay? So they know that people are interested in bad news. And if you want to tell people good news, they're like, yeah, okay, big deal, whatever, and they let it go. So my point is if you don't control what's going on inside your eyes and your ears and how you're bringing this concept inside, it alters how you feel. And if something does not give me a boosted level of performance, then I don't want it in my life, because guess what? You have to let good things fail in order to do what? Great things. So in order for me to perform better, so that I can be at my better version, so when I show up here for you, I've got something that I can tell you about that's not a great idea. I want to tell you about something that's a great experience, something that I'm practicing, something that is achieving a higher level of performance. Why? Because I plan what I allow to go into my mind that affects how I feel. So what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling is whose responsibility? It's mine. It's always mine. Okay, it's yours. And when you allow other people to dictate how you think and how you feel, you are letting go of the only control that the Creator gave you. The Creator gave you the ability not to change how the external world works. He gave you the ability to respond to that external world. You get to decide how you feel. You get to decide what you want to prioritize as something that's important, something that is going to help you move toward your objective, or something that's not very important and you just need to what? Discard it, let it go, pass it up. You're going to have to let good things fail, which might be the news. Okay. What do I use for news? I go to YouTube and I look for just the highlights. I get little snippets. I'm looking for things that I want to know about, that I decide that's important for my life, my performance, and the people that I want to affect in my life. And I will just go take those little snippets of news. And that way, number one, am I managing my time better? Yes. But number two, I'm also managing my state. Okay. Because the content that I want is specific content. I'm not looking to have someone, like I said, regurgitate all this sensationalized junk into my life, that if I can't affect it and it's not on point for me helping my clients or my family or my people that I care about specifically, then I don't need it. I don't have time to be distracted. And that's one of the key things. So here's the other cool thing that I did this morning, because in our morning preparation, in focusing on being grateful, that's something you want to focus, keep yourself a gratitude log. But I'll give you the other thing that I've mentioned in some of our other previous Rubicon discussions. Prepping the objective, or getting your day started correctly, also is a practice by Dr. Joe Dispenza that's not just about being grateful for what you have already experienced in your past from now, but he gives an incredible perspective of going forward into your future, to that event that your life is focused on achieving, that success that you are looking to have, and learning to teach yourself. Think about this. Teach yourself how to feel that future event. So you follow me what you're doing here. You're taking the tapestry of life and you're forgetting about time. You're deciding to go forward in time instead of being here, because what are we really good at all the time? We're good at going backwards in time, aren't we? We go back to the past and we re-remember an event that probably we're not actually remembering correctly and truthfully anyway, because that's what perception does to our mind. That's a different discussion. But here's his practice. Go forward in your time. And if you look every morning, I give you that PTO training. That's all of my playlist on YouTube. How many of you have that? The training that I have on my PTO? A few of you have it here. Hang on a second. I'm going to grab it for you real quick, just so I have it in here in the chat notes. Hang on one second, and I can grab it for you because it's right on the front of my YouTube channel. And let's see if I can grab it here quickly enough. All right. All right, here we go. Okay, I'm going to drop this in the chat here right now. And this is the link that actually takes you to Prepping the Objective, which is my playlist, that you'll see a combination of stuff from Vishen Lakhiani on his 6-stage morning meditation. I have about 5 different versions there. I like to have variety, but I like to also come back and perform in a ritualistic fashion, doing the same regimen. And this 5 version of his 6-stage meditation allows me to have variety. Okay. You'll also see 2 different meditations there from Marissa Peer. One of them is called a body scan, and the other one is basically an I am meditation. It is a routine that I use every day, because you got to think about this. 5 to 50,000 comments a day you make to who? To yourself. It's called mind talk. And 80% of the comments you say to yourself are positive or negative. They're negative. We are constantly coaching ourselves in a negative fashion. So how do we push against that? How do we combat that? How do we change that? First of all, you have to be conscious that you are talking to yourself and you're saying negative comments. Number two, you have to do what? In order to replace, or in order to change a habit, you have to replace it with something better. So if talking to yourself is what? Talking to yourself negatively is positive or negative for your life? It's negative. It's going to hurt you. Okay. It's the reason why we don't perform at the levels that we know we should perform. The reason why that happens is because we're constantly telling ourselves that we can't do it, that we're not smart enough, that we're not bright enough, that we're not educated enough, that we're not wealthy enough, that we're not good looking enough. And we come up with all this excuse, which is chatter, which is similar to news channel. You're allowing your own news to continue to tell you that you are not good enough, you are not wealthy enough, you are not smart enough, all these not enoughs. And therefore, you're the one that holds yourself back. So if you're the one holding yourself back, guess what? You are also in control of the ability to do what? To help propel yourself forward. How do we do that? We change our mind talk. Well, when you become aware of it, you can use someone like Marissa Peer to start your morning with what? The I Am meditation practice. It's about 15 minutes of her walking you through a system. And the beautiful thing about using a system is someone else is going to continue to guide you through it. And therefore, your routine gets on rails, okay? And so, yes, Inez, getting up 2 hours early in the morning sounds like a lot of early time for me. I get that. You don't have to do that amount of time, okay? I'm not trying to tell you to duplicate what I do identically. I'm trying to find you to help you find your system. And I'm giving you ideas that I have found, whether it's Dr. Joe Dispenza walking me forward into a future event and then helping me learn to feel, what does that future event feel like? What does that successful experience? What does it feel like? What does it smell like? What is the people around me? How does it feel to be there? And if you can immerse yourself in that moment, your mind does not know how to distinguish a past event, a present event, or a future event. It's not time oriented. It is about whether you can feel it. So how many of you have had a negative event in the past that you can go back to and you can feel the pain? You can do that, right? Yes, you can. Absolutely. We've all done it. And in fact, a lot of us, it's a very debilitating practice because we go back and do it over and over again and we hurt ourselves. So if you can make yourself feel bad about a past event that's not exactly the way it really happened, but you decide to remember it over and over again for whatever reason, can you not also use the same imagination in your mind to go to a different event? How about an event in the future, one that you've chosen, maybe one like Inez was dreaming about before she got to Brunswick, about being in this incredible place and hearing the ocean come in there all night long while she was having a really deep regenerative night of sleep. Now, going to the great places, putting, like she said, putting her feet in the Atlantic Ocean like she had been in the Pacific, okay? All those things were things, guess what? She dreamed about them first, right? And then they became a reality. So think about this. This is a practice. And if you will come, practice, plan, preparation produces what? Performance. If you practice your dreams in your imagination, you plan your success by following someone like Dr. Joe Dispenza or Dr. Vishen Lakhiani, or I do Wim Hof's breathing in the morning. All those things, Marissa Peer, following her levels of success and how she's helped hundreds of thousands of people break through. I follow their routines in small snippets and I built it into a playlist. It's what I just shared with you. You don't have to do the whole thing. I do pieces of them every day. I can tell which one of them I need because I practice with this routine content on a regular basis. And over time, I've taken other stuff out and replaced it with things that work better. So I'm only giving you my playlist. You go and use this as a framework, and then this helps you build your framework or build your playlist so that you have that. So every morning when you get up, you may only use 5 minutes, and that's enough for you to prep the objective, for you to decide, how do you want to feel? How grateful are you? What is that future event that you want to put yourself in? Feel it, and then give. Here's the most important thing Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about, is giving thanks when you're in that future event, feeling it. It's extremely powerful. It's something you should take time to look at. Now, here's the coolest thing, and this is the last thing I'll touch on here. We got about 5 minutes left. The most invaluable thing that we can do, and I just listened to this morning, every day I do personal performance. When I'm doing a journal or whatever, I have things that I've already planned that I watch or read, and I take that time to do what? Constantly grow myself. If you're constantly growing, constantly bettering yourself, what is going to be the end result of that? You're going to have content that you have experienced, not just stuff that you've read, not just stuff that you've heard, not just stuff that you've watched, but you've internalized it. You internalize it, you practice it. Now it's part of experience. Yes, it's fine to tell people what you've read. It's fine to tell people that you went to an event and you learned this or that, or you saw this, or you watched this video, you heard this great concept, you read about this still. But most importantly, what people are looking for is, what have you experienced? How did it help you change your life? How did it help you change your game? So that's where you have to internalize it. So personal development is about taking that content and not just reading it, not just watching the video, not just listening to a podcast, but putting it into your life and using it. And guess what happens when you use something? You're going to practice it and it's going to get messy. It's not going to work exactly right off the bat. You're going to have to add your tweaks to it. But practicing and planning, that's what that is. And preparing is how you increase your performance. You have got to be changing how you think about what you're doing. If your thinking is the same way that it was 5 years ago, guess what your performance will be? Same as 5 years ago. Yeah, Inez. Inez?
So the you saying that, I've been on many trips over my life, and this is because all those things that you've me over the last year about being there and morning.
The internet is freezing up on you there. Maybe it's your mobile. Let's see if it bounces back here in a second. Okay, when it does, I'll let you. There you go. Okay, you're good again. So it froze up on you.
Okay, so I've been on a few trips and stuff like that, right? But this trip was so profound to me because of the fact that I was actually there. This past year, over the things that you've taught me has changed my perspective and the way that I look at things and the way that I perform. And I have my morning routine that I do every single day, thanks to you, because I know how important that is. And this specific trip it's ingrained in my brain somehow, some way. I appreciated the colors, the smells, the sounds, the everything that much more. I wasn't just there. I was there.
Yeah, you were immersed in it. You really opened up and you stopped letting all those distractions that are constantly running around in our mind that are keeping our attention. See, I used to think that our time was our most valuable asset. Okay. And that's not exactly correct. It's partially correct. It's your attention of where you focus your mental perspective inside of time. Time is the chronological thing that how we experience reality. What's the right word I'm looking for? Chronologically, but there's another term that I'm looking for. In a linear fashion, it happens in a line. Okay, we don't experience time like this. Okay, and we experience time moving in one fashion. But where we're at in that time, notice your mind. It's thinking about whether you need to check your Facebook. It's looking at the traffic. It's thinking about what you're going to have for lunch, thinking about whether you slept well last night, or wondering whether you sent that email before you left home. See where your minds are constantly doing that. And when you learn to quiet the mind down by practicing meditation, then you go to an event, Inez, like you're talking about, where you got to go someplace. What happens to your experience? It's exclamated, okay? Because what happens? Everything, all that electronic stuff and the life itself is designed to disrupt our attention. So when you learn to quiet your attention, you can immerse yourself, like you see me going up in these mountains or the forest or out by a river or something like that. And I just stop there and I feel this, wow, this level of sacred appreciation. And I take pictures and I grab videos and I post them. Why? Because I want to share them with you. Because that's the last thing I wanted to touch on here, because we're over time, is the last thing that is the value of what we're doing here together is being together as in collaborating as a tribe. When I this morning, I was watching a video by Sean Aker, and he was talking about his new book and his new research. And it's not just about the happiness advantage, but it's about the collaboration value of being happy as a group, okay? Starting every day, or like we do this, we can't do it every day, but we can do it every week, all right? So every Monday, I'm here, we're gonna do the same thing. We start with our gratitude, then we focus on challenging ourselves to be in a future event, feeling that event, immersing yourself, and then being grateful for it. And then constantly adding to our prepping process so we can share with each other what's working for us, how we are moving our performance by planning, practicing, preparing to perform when it matters most, okay? So thank you all for being here. I am privileged and honored every time I get a chance to be around you. I'm glad, I love it, Inez, to hear that you were able to add this and really have a great adventure. And thank you for the comment about how this has been able to help you move forward and add things to your life. Amazing. So thank you each for being here, and I appreciate you. If you have any comments, leave them. I'm going to post this as a replay later. So if you get into Rubicon Performance, it'll be there. So you can jump on there and put a comment there if you have time. Okay. Love you each one. Thank you for being here. Have a fantastic week. We'll see you.
Awesome. Bye, Steve. Bye, Inez. Bye, Lena.